Hello and welcome back to a new vlog. Today it's exciting because we are starting the readathon of Priory of the Orange Tree. So this is my first readathon. I did try and do a 24-hour readathon a few days ago or a few months ago now and I failed miserably, so this will be my official readathon that I've ever done. And it's quite exciting because I'm hosting it, kind of. I know it's not like a super strict readathon, it's just much more free will, and obviously you don't have to be part of the readathon to watch this video because you could have just read the book and be interested to see what it's about or what's my thoughts on it. But my plan is to kind of vlog as I've scheduled it, so just after every kind of 30 or so pages I'll just come in, do a little clip, little roundup of what's been going on, and as I said in the intro video, which you should check out if you are interested in it, I will be doing a vlog for every week of this readathon with my thoughts as I go along, and it will not be spoiler free, just because I feel like as it's a readathon thing it would be more interesting to kind of talk about it without spoilers, just so we can get a more in-depth discussion going. So the dust jacket is off. I have actually read today's pages already. It is Sunday, so I have read the first 30 pages. I stopped on page 30 something because that was the nearest chapter. 34, so I read to chapter 4. I haven't started chapter 4 and I'm quite enjoying it. It wasn't a struggle to read those 30 pages. I read them quite quickly with quite a lot of intrigue, and I think potentially I have read those 30 pages before. I think I've read the first 50 or so pages before I stopped when I first got it, just like on the train home for when I picked it up or something like that. So I vaguely remember the plotline so far, but I enjoyed it. I think I'm enjoying it more than I did when I read it from memory's sake. So that's exciting. But at the moment what's happened is we've seen the two kind of districts, so we've got East and West. So far this follows 3 perspectives. The first 2 have been in the East chapters and then the third one has been in the West chapter. So the East chapters at the moment seem a little bit all over the place. I'm not really sure how they're going, just because we've got these 2 perspectives and there's been a little bit of info dumping, which I quite like. I quite like knowing a little bit about the world, especially the bit about the types of dragons. I think has been quite interesting, and also I have decided to start tabbing it. I don't know if you can see, just because as I was doing these videos I'll have more to say if I've tabbed it, and it's a hefty book, so I feel like the more I tab it the more I can go back to it and refresh my mind if I do get a bit lost or if there's any important information I want to reread. That's why I'm tabbing it. I haven't tabbed a book in a while, so I'm just getting used to it again. If you want to know what the colours and stuff are that I'm going for, it's the same system that I talked about in my annotating my books vlog, so be sure to check that out if you are interested. But yes, so I think the bit about the dragons is really interesting, that they've mentioned how there's 2 different types of dragons. One seems to be of a more kind of older, ancient, magical religious system that the East still believe in. However, the West seem to think that that's kind of negative or barbaric, that they still use and work with these dragons. But from what I can gather, it seems it's because they're used to the second type of dragons, which are the ones that breathe fire and they cause a lot of destruction. Whereas the dragons that the East support are water dragons and seem to be a lot more, I mean, they spoke in this, they actually speak, so they seem pretty pleasant to me. So that's interesting. I'm really interested to see more about the dragons because dragons excite me, and there's like, for fantasy, there's not many books that have dragons in it that are like main parts of the story or like interact a lot with the characters, or the characters interact with them a lot, because can dragons interact with them? These ones are because they're talking, but you know, apart from that. I know this is a female-female romance. I've made a prediction as to who the female-female romance is just from on page 25. There's like hints, I think. So I think it's Sousa and Tane will be the female-female romance. I could be completely wrong. This is just my predictions at the moment. I also think that the guy that has gone to East and has turned up at East and is now with Nicholas, the old dude, he is having a love affair with the girl that's really depressed in West. So there's a connection between East and West that I'm not entirely sure what it is about, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a big plot point. So I'm interested to see how that unrails. I am 30 pages in. I always expect the plot of a book to get more interesting and more kind of snowbally at around the 100-page mark. I'm not sure how that's going to work with this book because it's much bigger. So I don't know if it will take longer for the plot to start going more quickly, or it will be the same just because it's a standalone, so it will pick up quicker sooner. Who knows? We shall find out. So I'm enjoying it so far. I am enjoying it. and I'm excited to read more. I am hoping to stick to the schedule and read 30 pages a day, just because then it also means I can hopefully start reading some other books alongside it, as I have a very big TBR this month. We've got to get reading on that as well, because I think I bit off a bit too much. And it was actually a very funny video and fun way to do my TBR, but it probably wasn't the best month to do that because now I've got so much to read. But you know what? I've only got 2 more weeks of uni and then I'm on holiday, so I'll get more reading done then. But yes, excited to see more, intrigued about the relationships and the dragons. It's basically my thoughts so far. So I have been absolutely crap at updating you with this readathon. So it's currently Wednesday. I'm on page 124? I'm on page 122. So my checking in every 30 page thing didn't really pan out, but I'm here now. So hopefully I'll be better at updating you. I think the main reason that I haven't been updating you every 30 pages is because every 30 pages I don't really have much to say. At the moment it's a lot of setup, so nothing really interesting has really happened so far that I can really get into a good discussion with. But it is the 100 page mark, so I thought I would check in with you anyway. And you know, we're almost finished with the reading for this week, so exciting stuff. There are only just a few bits that I want to say at the moment. I don't really have a big massive update for you, but one of the things is that I'm finding it very heavily balanced towards the West chapters and the characters that are living in the West. So that's Iad mainly and the Queen Sabrine or Sabran. I'm so bad at names, I really apologise. But yes, so I'm finding it very heavily weighted towards them, which means I'm finding it hard to connect the storyline of the East chapters, especially Tane, because I feel like I've not seen her very much, or she just doesn't have that much going on for her at the moment. I have just finished a chapter with her, so that's I think the first chapter we've had in like 4 or 5 chapters that's from her point of view and her storyline. So I'm looking forward to that continuing because she's about to start the first trial, or she just had the first trial. She managed to win it. Yay. Yeah, I'm just struggling to connect with her. I also take back, I don't think, they might do, but I don't think her relationship is going to be with the Sousa person, because there's just been a bit of a flashback and they're talking about how they're like sisters. So I don't think that's that. But I do think something's going on with Iad and Sabrine, or something will go on with them, maybe, potentially. I'm so bad at predicting books, like it's the worst thing. I'm just very bad at it. So you're probably going to be laughing at me if you've read this already with all my predictions, because they're probably going to be way off the mark, but I'm going to make them anyway because they're fun to do. That's what I have to say about that. The PRIORY thing is interesting me. Obviously it is the title of the thing, so I already have an invested interest in what that is and what that's about. But I think at the moment it's coming across as like some kind of ninja training school, and the Priory of the Orange Tree, like the orange tree itself, is the source of the power that Iad has, because she's the one that has all like the powery stuff. And interested to see how that goes. Who doesn't like magic? And then the third thing I wanted to say as well is I think the way the dragons are built into the world and kind of woven into the foundations of it is really good and really interesting, and not something I've ever read before. I like how there's 2 different sides of the dragon, so that they have the water dragons and the fire dragons, and like the kind of evil nature and the different types of dragons and beliefs that all different countries have, because it seems like each country within the world that we have has a different religion and a different belief system than each other, and I think the way they interact with each other is interesting and adds a lot of complexity to the world. So we're liking that at the moment. But yeah, apart from that I don't really have much else to say, so I'm sorry about that. Hopefully I will have more to say in the next update, and we shall see how it's going. I am enjoying it though. I'm finding it really easy to read, to just sit down and read those 30 pages each day. I think that's quite a nice amount to read because I can fit it in around other things, and it's not a struggle to get through, like I'm not bored by the end of it. So I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Oh, and that's another thing I keep saying. I am doing little updates a little bit more often on Instagram and Twitter, just small, tiny little updates, like not big ones at all. This is where I'm doing most of the discussion and stuff. But if you did fancy following along on Instagram or Twitter, please do. My links are all in the description box as usual, so you're welcome to do that. But yes, I shall update you again later. So it is Saturday, and again I failed to let you know how the reading was going this week for Priory, but that was because I didn't actually read anything yesterday. I failed on the 6th day of the readathon, and I didn't get any reading done for that book just because I had a whole day at uni and some other commitments, so I didn't manage to do that. I did finish another book though, so still got some reading in, just not my priority reading. But that doesn't matter because I have finished it, well, this week's reading, and I have got to page 206 this morning, so I have read up to the first marker here. And yeah, I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's not at all a challenge to read. Like, I just sat and read 60 pages, which for me normally doesn't happen a lot. I don't have that good of an attention span when it comes to reading often, and I tend to have to read about 50 pages or so at max and then have a little break and then go back in with probably quite a lot of mini breaks in between that 50 pages as well, let's be honest. But I'm not struggling at all to get through it. I find it really easy to read. I think her writing is very accessible and the story is definitely picking up a lot more now. I feel like next week's reading vlog will be a little bit more interesting than this one, just because it will have a lot less startup and I'll be able to talk more about what's happening, because I've just been a little bit confused and trying to figure it out, so I don't really have many opinions on it yet. Hopefully that will change as I get more invested in the story and the story becomes a little bit more clear, because all the setup is now done and we're getting more into the like nitty-gritty of all the different storylines, because there are 4 and I do feel like some of them are being left behind more than others. There is definitely more of the West storylines I'm finding at the moment. I don't know if anyone else has found that, but I don't feel as connected to the people in the East, so Tane and Nicholas. Obviously Nicholas is becoming more involved in the West storyline, just as more backstory is being revealed about him, so that's very interesting. I'm excited for that and I'm looking forward to that becoming more clear. I don't really know how Tane is connected to the other storylines yet. I'm assuming she will be, and that's exciting because she's obviously the dragon rider, which is the reason we're all reading this book, let's face it, for the dragons. But that will hopefully be very interesting. When she will become connected to all that, I don't know. I thought maybe she would be a bit more by now, and especially because the last time we were with Nicholas's storyline, something interesting was revealed about her friend, so Sousa. She was kind of captured and being tortured, so I thought that would mean we'd get a little bit more from that storyline, as that's quite an interesting thing. However, that's just been left for quite a while now. I can't remember exactly when that was, but I feel like I haven't heard from that storyline in a while. So there is definitely a focus on the West side, especially, I think it's Eid. I think it's just Eid. I said Ead the other day, but I feel like that's just wrong because it sounds like I'm having some weird spaz. But I think it's just Eid. So I'm going to go with Eid. She's now called Eid. She, I feel like, is definitely the focus of the book at the moment. She's, for me, standing out as the main character, which I don't mind. I quite enjoy her storylines. Hopefully they're going to pick up a bit more pace. And I was totally right about the romance. She and Sabrine, there is something going on about there. I'm almost certain of that now that I just read that last chapter before the 206 pages. So I was right about that. It will happen. I'm sure of it. But yes, also the 4th perspective, I would say, because of the order it is in, is becoming a lot more interesting. So that's the one with Loth, and he's in Yscal, and I was a bit confused there for a second with the Don Marta and how she kind of, I'm still actually, not gonna lie, a little bit confused about it. I don't really understand how she related to the prince that's now the fiance of Sabrine. I don't know how she was the fiance of him but now not, but she's the queen, but I don't really know. I'm a bit confused there, so I might have to go back and try and figure out how she's connected to all these other characters. But she's apparently not bad, but she is bad. I don't really know. So we'll have to read and find that out. So that storyline is becoming a lot more interesting. Definitely enjoying the kind of royal politics and the different politics between all the countries and how that's working together. And I really hope that's kind of pushed and a big part of the development of the story, especially with the kind of East being separate from the West countries because of their whole religious thing. I don't really understand, however, how Loth and Kit can go to Yscal as ambassadors, because they're now enemies, I assumed, because they're now worshipping the Nameless One, which is obviously the nemesis dragon person, but they will have nothing to do with the East that are also dragon worshippers, but then they weren't the dragons that attacked them, or they weren't the dragons that they didn't like at the start. So I'm not really sure why they won't have any contact with the East, but Loth and Kit can just walk right into Yscala and the palace and talk straight to the queen person. I don't really get that, but each their own. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Hopefully next week's vlog will be a bit more interesting and I'll have more things to say. It is quite hard, I think, to discuss your thoughts of a book as you're going along, or it's a lot harder, I'm finding it anyway, than finishing a book and then kind of just giving a general synopsis of it or general feel of the book. But I'm quite enjoying it. It's a challenge, but I'm enjoying that challenge, and I hope you're enjoying it too, and hope the kind of 30-day thing is making this a lot more easy to read. It's definitely making it more easy for me to read anyway. I feel like there's no way I would have got through 200 pages in a week if I was forcing myself to, or if I was just reading this of my own accord, because I would not be encouraged to read it every day. Not because that's a bad book. That sounds like it's because it's a bad book. Just because I'm less likely to make time for it because it's so intimidating sometimes to sit down and read it. But I'm definitely glad that I started this readathon, and I hope everyone else who's reading along with me thinks that too. So I shall sign off here, and I shall see you again next Saturday for another update on PRIORY, where we'll be over halfway through, I think, just about, and that's exciting. So thank you again for watching, and I shall see you in the next vlog.